Okay, we're finally through with the theory part, and we're going to start the actual looking at the Cisco elements, the Cisco components. The first one, and then I want to do a overview of commands here, the Cisco iOS here just for a second, because switches and routers are going to work the same way. Commands are going to be a little different, but they're going to work the same way. But we're through with the network fundamentals, which was 20%. Now we're into LAN switching fundamentals, which is going to be 26% of it. And we have a number of things to do, but as we go through this, we're going to be doing some configurations of the devices. So in order to give a basic of how this thing works, I've got a machine setting up here. I normally just, and this is a thing that's kind of specific to simulators. You just click on command line interface CLI and you're there. Well, when you sit down to try to work on a switch or a router, there's no CLI. There's no place to click. There's no keyboard. There's no mouse. There's no any of those things. What we have to do initially, and this represents a serial connection in RS-232, we click on our RS-232, a serial port goes to the console port, and this is a rollover cable. To do that, that's the one we talked about, had the dongle, and sometimes we have to go to USB to serial to RJ45 in order to do that. When you get Cisco devices, you will have a you will be provided. I guess I get my mouth going here. You'll be provided with those, and then we're going to have a terminal. When we look at the terminal, the configuration of the terminal is going to be bits per second 9600, data bits 8, parity none, stop bits 1, and flow control none. And when you do Cisco testing to connect to a Cisco device, you have to go through a console. So it's a good idea to know that this is the default that we're going to do there. When we click on it, and one of the reasons I'm not going to use it, you see the fonts are very small, but we are now connected to our switch, and I'll just do that. I'll change its name just to show you that we were actually there. And the command is, well, let me just do that and then we'll look at the commands. Host name is, let's see, class. We'll call it class. So it's changed it. You can see that right here. Its name is class. So let me get out of this now that you know that you have to connect it that way. And I'm going to go into my CLI here, and I'm just going to stretch this a little bit to try to keep the commands in the middle of the system and host name class, and so I have named the same class. If I'm in config mode and I want to go back to what's called user exec mode, I type end, and we'll go, well, let's disable, let's get back to where we would start. When we start a device up, we're going to get this press return to get started. This is called user mode. It has a greater than sign on it. If I want to know which commands are available here, I can type the question mark. Cisco has a great help command, and it's always with question mark. If I wanted to know all the commands that started with T, I would type T question mark, and I see that telnet, terminal, and traceroute do there. What I want to do is enable. I type EN. If I use the tab key, it will automatically complete the command for me, as long as the character string that I've typed, EN, is unique. If I'd have typed E, let's go back and do an E tab, nothing happens. I can type E question mark and it says enable and exit. So EN tab, okay, because the EN is unique, and it then completes that command. And then I can use the question mark, enable, and a level here is the level of access that you're going to have, 0 to 15, 15 being the highest, and that's the one that we're going to do. We don't have to specify it. we're going to just go in and we'll we'll have our own level, which is going to be level 15. CR is carriage return, so I do EN carriage return and I get the pound sign. This is privilege exec mode. We have some privileges here. The same thing if I want to know what commands are available, question mark. And as you can see, there are significantly more commands: disconnect, enable, turn on privilege commands, erase, exit, log out, resume, a number of different things here. One of the commands that is available that we'll use an awful lot is configure, and to enter configure mode, and I do CON and CON, and I didn't get a unique because I can configure and connect. So CONF and then a question mark, and then I can do terminal. And terminal is like where we were connected before. So we can go to the terminal config T. And it says that enter configuration commands, 1 per line. You can only put 1 command on a line. If you do try multiple, it's going to say, I don't understand that command. End it with a Control Z. If I want to go back 1 level, I can exit. If a Control Z is going to save the commands and send me back to the privilege exec mode. So we have this. If I want to be more specific and get into an interface, INT interface, and at F8 tab fast Ethernet 0/1. And then I am in a more specific configuration, config IF. If I try to give a command which is not there, this is not a command. A copy command is not one of the ones that are available at the interface level. We have CDP channel group, some of which, many of which we will cover as we go through this thing. If the command is not available, then we get the caret. When you get the caret, it says, oops, I made a mistake, and this is where the mistake is. So C, the O is a problem, so I could do a C question mark, and it tells me which commands are available that start with C. Then I am in the configure interface. I could do whatever is in this command list up here. Let's just go ahead and do one. Let's say duplex. And we've talked about duplex, simplex, full duplex, and half duplex. And in our switch, we want it to be full duplex. You notice I had a typo there. The tab key will prevent an awful lot of typos. So we can configure this thing here for auto, full, or half duplex. Auto says, okay, I'm going to negotiate with whatever gets connected to me, and I will assume that type of duplex. So question marks, duplex, and let's just say, because it is auto, and say auto. So whatever we plug it in, if we plug a full duplex device in, it's full duplex. If we have half duplex device in, it's going to be half duplex. So, and then we can exit. We go up 1 level to the config. If I did yes, invalid, so 1 is where they start. If I end, I go back to the privilege exec mode. Let's go back. Big T interface 0/1, and I'm going to do Control Z, which says that it is configured from console by console and brings me back to the privilege exec mode. That's a little overview of the mechanics of the Cisco IOS. The question mark, the tab key, are going to work in the switches, the routers, and also going to work when you're doing configurations on the exam itself. And as far as I know, because I've used it on multiple exams, it doesn't count against you. So we're going to stop here with this one, short overview of how it works, and then start with the LAN switching fundamentals.